this is my earliest layout of it. Of the grid itself. Here is early versions of it, including the one where I got the spelling wrong. The spelling wrong. So many revisions have happened, but the general layout has remained the same. Here's the ultimate version of it, the one that was actually produced. Started most appropriately with making the original grid. I used it was just a scrap of 1/8" clear acrylic that was left over from an earlier job at the shop that I work at, and it ended up making the perfect grid. The clarity was as good as I could have imagined. And however, the good initial fortune would come back to bite me later, which I'll come to that eventually. The tweezers, or the Rodanti, I think that's how it's pronounced, are cooking utensils. They get cooking utensils. They're with silicone tips to that won't melt. But they end up being the perfect thing for this because with the rubber tips, they can fit the marbles easily, and they're big enough to have at least 6 inches of reach to get into that grid. This is the grid. After I bought enough marbles to fill it entirely. Kind of tricky. That's the first game I played on the grid with my friend Kai. He is undefeated in that game. But this is the first cuts of the early prototype, which I cut out of melamine particle board. This is the engraving, which is ended up being one of the simplest parts of this whole project, oddly enough. And these early pieces ended up getting recut several times before I found a configuration that I liked. Eventually picked and obtained all the hardware that's going to go into these 4 pieces. It is straight oddly enough not the majority, not quite the majority of the weight. The first prototype went together too easily for my own good because I did not notice all of the problems in the design that I would later find with the finished finished products. These boxes, the joints at the corners are I tried to use dowels to align the corners. That ended up causing more problems than it helped. Here's all the MDF parts, marble trays. The painting process, that's a presentation. That's a whole presentation all on its own. I'm not going to go into too much into that. in that, but all the interior surfaces, it started by getting all of the interior surfaces properly painted, because there's lots of little slots and such that's difficult for spray paint to get into consistently. Then came the assembly, and with each one, doing each box one at a time, I kept finding, little areas where I was left wanting to have, better control and such. Eventually, this last box just became a cocoon of clamps. And a lot of the reasons for that is that the dowels themselves, they did the opposite of what I wanted them to do. They kept them firmly out of alignment. They kept them in an alignment, just not the right one. And eventually, and so the assembly went okay. I should not have used staples to hold it together because there were a few strays. And just bottom line lesson here is that redundancy is not always a good thing. And so the exterior painting process, got this little plug to keep the already painted interior safe. Designed this wrap to hold the boxes. As the paint that I used is this hammered. It's a paint that gives it a hammered look. The thing is, if you let the paint just, if I was to paint the entire exterior just in one go and let it dry, the paint on the sides will just dribble down and just form a V at the edge at the edge. And so to get each of these, so to get the look right, I had to paint each side one at a time and let it dry for a day before rotating them on the rack and painting the next. And the lid, the final step in this whole painting thing. And well, here's the start. Well, not quite the start of making the rest of the grids. I was starting to get really discouraged when I could not find the exact material that I used for all of the for the first grid. It wasn't commonly carried at the industrial suppliers that I usually be going to. I did eventually find something that was apparently the right stuff. At Home Depot and Home Depot. However, first thing I noticed is that the clear film that these sheets, plexiglass or any other acrylic, have that peels off easily is not the kind of surface you want if you want to actually hold it down to the surface of the router bed. It comes off too easily because The original sheet has a paper backer that is designed for you to be able to spray glue on it, glue it down, and then once it's all done, pull it up and then peel it off. The adhesive between the paper and the acrylic is stronger than the adhesion between the clear plastic and the acrylic. And so I ended up finding a solution that worked better than I anticipated. I ended up just peeling off the acrylic and just lining the entire surface in masking tape. And then spraying the glue on that. And that definitely worked better than the first sheet did. Some of the pieces even moved just as they were finished being cut. And at least one of the boxes has pieces that reflect that. And the process of cutting like the remaining 3 grids took about 6 hours of waiting for this machine. It machine. The material's quite hard, and the bit that is being used to cut is only an 8 inch in diameter. It's 7 inch in diameter, so gotta take it slow and slow. And was only much. It was later after that I found another problem with it. After I got the boxes, painting's finished, got all the hardware installed, there's the hinge and the other pieces of rail that I set in there to offset the hinge so that it could be stood up on its spine on the back of the box. Installing screwing anything into the edge of the MDF material, you have to have it securely clamped, or else you'll just split it. And the rest of the hardware, fortunately, didn't give me any problems at all. That's a little jig I made to center the turntable in the holes, to keep it holes so that the foot of the turntable would not risk scraping the edge of the box. Box corners, lots of little screws, took forever, arm hurt like hell afterwards. So the box was assembled. That's when I found where the last problem with the grids was. The material that I got at Home Depot said that it was 0.118 inches thick, which is exactly the thickness I was going for. However, it turned out to be 0.106 inches thick, which for most cases would not really be a problem. Except for this specific case. Because these joints, all the notches that are fitting the grid together, are exactly 1/8 of an inch wide. That's the nearest I could make it, because the bit is 1/8 of an inch in diameter. And so the verticals and the horizontals were loose in them, and resulting in a grid that was so wobbly and flimsy, I could not accept that. Fortunately, this is a piece of the original of the original sheet that the original grid was cut from, and there was exactly enough left to recut all 24 of the vertical pieces from it. And that made the grid serviceable. However, it also resulted in another issue with that, in that the boxes were cut specifically to fit 9 layers of these acrylic sheets in it, and with that being that much thinner, there was an 1/8 inch of space of empty space left in there, which meant that if the sheets end up falling against the ceiling, the vertical pieces that are in the slots in the bottom would come loose and just be free to rattle around in there.